What's the president doing in our front yard? Our entire world is in grave danger. I want you to come with me on an expedition.
I'm not my father.
So congratulations on a very deep film. I feel like some of these characters could have been written for live action, almost like Oscar bait. Like you could be up for Best Actor for these performances.
Which one of us?
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I know that I'm going to start things on a light note. Inevitably, when you do voice recording, I have been told that there's always a session where it's an entire day of grunts, oohs, ahs, sound effects. I want to know if that was the case, especially on a film that's an adventure film, and how does that go?
You have a choice. You have a choice. You have a choice. You can go in installments, right?
Okay.
Or all the end, all in one.
Who could do that?
Well, I mean, it's like, you
Like
you
all
pay
day.
monthly. It's a pay monthly thing. So you can do at the end of every one of the sessions.
I
after
chose to go with the
final
15-minute after.
I said, "What's the generic version? Then what else do you want?" And then they gave me 15 minutes at the end. Everyone, I just screamed and yelled and.
Yeah.
So
grunted.
your
I just
subscription-
went up and down the
I'm a subscription.
scale.
I'm
Your
subscribed.
subscription.
Yeah.
And you're like a pay by the year kind of guy. Like
No,
you-
no.
No,
I
he's
just-
like,
I just-
no
I did it
mortgage.
after-
No, he's just paid all down.
So
Yeah.
do those sessions, do they feel bizarre, or do they sort of like, are they embarrassing, or are they liberating?
They're meant to be embarrassing.
Okay, they don't put it in the film. It's just for
That's
for
they
them.
break you down like
Yes.
that.
They don't use any of it. They just
Yeah.
watch you and they just go
It's like,
yeah,
wow,
yeah,
can you believe that?
yeah. And they send them to all the other actors. You
What
don't
he's
see it,
really
but
like.
it's like, look at this guy.
Yeah. Like, all they have is like, now they know how my dog looks at me.
Oh my gosh. So Jake, I was doing a
Yes.
movie no.
Yeah, no. I was just agreeing with him.
Okay.
I'm sure his dog looks at him that way. That's all I was
Like,
thinking.
whoa.
Yeah.
I did a movie preview a couple weeks ago, and I was previewing this film, and the second that the host saw you, they were like, oh, that's Jake Gyllenhaal. They knew it was you.
Whoa, really?
So, and I think for all of you, I felt like, in a sense, I was really watching you all perform.
Oh, that's unfortunate. I mean,
thought it was
particularly in his
rather
case, but I
enjoyable.
mean, in my case, I mean, maybe so much. I do have ears that size, so that makes sense. But I don't know.
So what do you discover about yourself when you see yourself being animated?
Wow. You see so many micro expressions and little things where you're like, I do look like that. Where it's like, it's more intense than looking in a mirror. Because if you look in a mirror, you're like performing for yourself, you know? You're trying to like look hot for yourself. They're
Oh, do
catching
you?
I mean, I do.
Does it work?
And they're like,
Let's see your mirror face.
no.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's great. I love that.
But yeah, they're just like recording during all of the sessions. So when you're doing that embarrassing, jumping, yelling, screaming, they got you.
It's true.
Yeah, and it's going in there.
Me, I never realized how much I look like Kurt Russell.
Oh my gosh. It's uncanny.
It's incredible.
That's amazing. Oh wow.
And for you, Jake.
I mean, I would just say that they stole my soul, and I'll never forgive them. It's literally the way I act and behave, and my facial expressions are no different from my own. So
Like, look at him.
the feeling, I mean, that's the face on the poster is the face I use pretty much all the time. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was interesting. It was really interesting.
Yeah,
to
that's
see.
the face that you just gave for what? 22 more interviews?
Yeah, exactly. What? Like that. That's exactly.
That,
yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was
No,
the
I
post
know.
right
That's really
there.
good,
We're
isn't
gonna do
it?
a side by side
Yeah.
when we edit
Yeah,
this.
there you go.
100,000%.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go very inside the actor studio for a second. There is a scene in the film where your character asks your character to explain why he wanted to be a farmer, because you were an explorer. And he just says, I have to ask why farming. And he gives such a great answer. It's succinct. So I'm going to ask all three of you, why acting? That went over well.
It's a really, really good question.
Oh, thanks.
Actually, yeah.
Because I could make the football team. So I wound up in the drama room.
And you look like Kurt Russell. You're like,
What does that have to do with my acting?
you're like, I look like that dude. I should be an
Take it.
actor.
Okay,
It's a
oh,
compliment.
okay,
Just
okay.
take it. That's
I think he's a very
amazing.
good-looking man.
Thank you. That's
That's fine, okay.
How do you ever take it? Why? I really don't know. I really couldn't tell you. I would say that, in all honesty, there was a very particular kind of joy I got when I performed, even from a very young age, and particularly in front of an audience. It was just something that I knew was this like kind of wonderful exchange of joy, and so to me that's like really infectious. But there are a lot of much more complicated answers to that question, but also just sheer luck, you know.
Wow.
All of us get into it, and there's so
Yeah.
many people who, do it, and it's literally the lottery. So
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talent, so talented people out there that
Yeah.
you got to have luck.
Yeah, I think it's the joy, and then also I just love playing and like, I don't know, having fun. I think a lot of this is just playing make believe, especially something like this. It's like you're just in your imagination having fun, trying to make people laugh.
Well, speaking of which, I think this movie, when I saw it, it's such an incredible film on so many levels. And when I saw it, it almost made me wish, as much as I enjoyed it as an adult, that I saw it as a child. Because I wonder what I would have thought. I'm sure I would have been obsessed with that world. So what do you think each one of you would have thought as a child watching this movie?
Ooh, I got some pretty great classics as a kid, so
Yeah.
it's hard to compare, but
Yeah, well, I mean, Disney, and then that's what Disney does. They make our myths. Their myths is what they are. That's why they stay with us for so long. They point to some kind of truth they have no words for. And they're classic stories when you break them down. And I think that's their success.
Yeah. For you have a few dad jokes in this.
yes.
Is it aligned with your own sense of humor, or how would you describe your sense of humor compared to...
I think that dad jokes is a euphemism for bad jokes. So yes, they are aligned with my sense of humor. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, you don't have to fill a position. You just have to know how to not be funny, and I can do that very well. So yeah.
Now, my last question is for you. Acting opposite Splat. How is that for you in the voice recording booth? Because there's a lot of almost like banter, but you're acting opposite. Like, where are you going in your brain? How did you create Splat in your head?
They did a good job explaining Splat, but also Don did an amazing job impersonating Splat, and it took me maybe 10 minutes to recover the first time I heard him make that noise. But then after that, it was pretty smooth sailing. I'm trying to start a campaign for him to do it on camera again so everyone can see it, but...
Good thing I haven't interviewed him yet, because I'm going to
Okay,
have him
please
do it. Okay.
ask him. Please
Yes.
ask him.
You
Yes,
sure
do
have
that.
heard what Splat said about you, but
Grandpa's awesome!
He is not awesome! You gave me a machete for my birthday?
classic Jaeger Quaid.
I was 2.
So I was told from the other room that I am to ask you to do your impression of Splat.
Do it.
Incredible.
Do it!
It's not very good. It's not very good, but
That's fantastic.
best I can do.
How did Splat come into fruition? Where did he come from? He or
Uh,
she, I should say.
Yeah.
Alright.
When will this be shown? In terms of
Release. Let's do spoiler free.
spoiler free.
Yes.
Okay. So, Splat came from, I just love nonverbal characters. For instance, like the carpet in Aladdin. To really just embrace the joy of animation, and that's what those kind of characters do. And our animators had a blast taking this 8-legged blob and expressing with them, and the whole gamut of animation.
I'm wondering, and this is again going to be spoiler free. This is truly an amazing story. I told the gentleman in the other room, these characters almost feel like live action characters because they're so deeply written. The world is so beautifully created, and I know from each of you, you drew from personal experience. Your dad was a farmer. I think you've said before that when you became a writer, you weren't sure it was going to be a career. And you made your dad proud with Raya.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what sort of personal experiences did you draw on? Because you got to write what you know.
Well, it was very much that. Ethan's story definitely reflects mine. And growing up, the son of a farmer and learning to farm, and then having that realization that it just wasn't for me. My path was following this animation thing, and having that conversation with my dad. It certainly wasn't as dramatic as what we do in the film, but that was definitely taken from a very personal story.
Yeah, and all elements from all three of these characters are things that we both lived, right? Like, we wouldn't be filmmakers if we didn't have that ambition that Jaeger has, that drive to continue to chase the horizon, even though it seems crazy, but by doing so, you sometimes lose time with your families. So that's something that we also relate to. And then with Searcher, we also know what it's like to be guys that were at one point going, I'm going to be nothing like my father, but then ending up just like them later in life, but also being now, as we are older as dads ourselves, being very proud that we're like our dads. And of course, we're all like Ethan, who at some point had to rebel against our parents to become who we were going to be.
Oh, I'm becoming more like my mother every single day, and you realize it, you know, as you go on.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, without spoilers, there is a beautiful reveal in this film,
Yeah.
and I'm wondering where, as storytellers, you decided on that reveal. Was it in the very beginning? Did it evolve and sort of go? You had an aha moment, or how did it go?
Well, the reveal in question was always part of the story, but where it happened was always in question, and it kind of moved around a little bit, and we found the perfect place for it because it is a very big reveal, but it also dovetails with Searcher making a discovery about himself, and those moments kind of beautifully gelled. But it did move around a bit. We had to search to find the right place to put it.
So when you were searching sort of for inspiration, not that you need inspiration, but or influences, what are some of the films that you drew on when you were having these conversations about writing the film?
Oh yeah, well I mean obviously the pulp movies, the action adventure movies that we all know, like Raiders of the Lost Ark and Empire Strikes Back, and great novels like by Jules Verne's and Journey to the Center of the Earth, but also like family movies like National Lampoon's Vacation, Little Miss Sunshine, because we needed a combination of both great adventure and great family comedy to really give a heart to this thing.
I'm wondering if Inner Space with Mr. Quaid came into the equation at all for obvious reasons.
Well, yeah, because it starred our Dennis Quaid, and watching all of his filmography. But yes, we did watch Inner Space.
And Right Stuff. Don talks about the Right Stuff almost
Stuff
daily, so he really loves that movie.
Yeah, I think, and he played a test pilot in that. But I mean, they're essentially, those early astronauts are explorers, so it felt like Dennis, just in his DNA, he knew how to play that role.
And why were Jaboukie and Jake perfect? Why were they your choices?
Well, I mean, we were fans of all five of these actors, like way back, right? Like we've been following all their careers, big fans. And when Jamie Roberts, our casting director, was like, "Hey, we think about these five," and we're like, "Absolutely, we love them, but would they even take a meeting with us?" And so to actually be in the room with them and pitch this movie, that was already a dream come true. But to have them actually join the film and be the collaborators that they are, like when you start out doing one of these movies, you're telling them about the characters. At the end, they're telling us who the characters are, and they've been just great collaborators ever since.
So I know you were a writer at Marvel before you jumped over to animation. So I'm going to ask you the inevitable Marvel crossover question. If you were to have a crossover for this film, live action meets animation, what Marvel character would you love to meet up with the Clays?
I mean, I don't mean to kiss the butt of this guy that's next to me. He already did a Marvel movie called Big Hero 6, and it'd be kind of interesting to see the Clades and the team of Big Hero 6 together. I would love to see Baymax and Splat work together. So I'm going to keep in the Disney family, but also it's still a Marvel property as well that Don directed himself.
I could get behind that. Did Big Hero 6 meets Strange World?
Yeah.
I could. Yeah.
Do you see franchise potential for this? And do you have stories written in your minds yet? Do you see
for
where it
Strange
could
World?
go for this?
We haven't really sat down to do that because we literally just finished the film, and the paint is very wet on this one. So, we love. All I can say is we love this world. We love these characters so much, especially seeing because we didn't. When you do one of these movies, that you're not with the actors all together. It's all individual, and it's so wonderful to see them all around each other, and so we love these actors, we love our characters. So who knows what the future.
My last question to both of you. Obviously, you did Raya and the Last Dragon together. Such an incredible movie. Also, very action-driven, but a different type of action. So how would you sort of describe the action adventure in this film?
Well, this one's a little bit more like classic Indiana Jones, going into, exploring new territory. While Raya and the Last Dragon was very much a martial arts film that kind of celebrated the martial arts and dragons and different cultures. So this one's definitely a ride where it's not. If you think about that very beginning of Raiders, where he's trying to run away and a giant boulder's coming after him, that's kind of the heartbeat to a lot of the action sequences in this film.
Okay, you got to show the T-shirts to go out.
Oh yeah.
Oh, this is amazing!
Yeah,
Where can I get
team,
one?
Well, I don't know
This is
yet.
homegrown right now.
These are homegrown. Yeah, our team made these, and we love them, and so we just kind of wear them for these events.